Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
I'm not usually a hat fan, but wow.
Jeg vil ikke være en dagger.
I'm really sipping on that dumb bitch juice today, and
Yeah, I am. But you know what? Someday I just might grow out of that. But you will never stop being a jerk.
All chocolate cakes are good. You're a fascist.
it's hideous.
It's horrible.
It's home. Angry white boy, let's go!
Hello, and welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. The only podcast to watch the movies, read the cliff notes, and still get an A. That's Simone LaRue.
And that's Chad Ekowitz. What a great introduction.
Now, I was thinking about it today, actually, and I was thinking, I was going to ask you, were you one of those people in high school who just, watched the movie and read the cliff notes and still got an A? But I know us.
You know I wasn't.
And I know you wouldn't be. So I was like, that's a really bad question to ask.
No.
I can imagine you were the super nerd.
Yeah. My strategy, obviously I read the book and then, took notes when we went through it in class. And then I would also go on Spark Notes and read their notes on all the different themes and stuff. I really just used Spark Notes for extra supplementation. It was never, I always read the book. Oh my God.
Yeah. Could you imagine? I mean, I think the only time that I didn't finish the book or read the book was The Hobbit. And I don't know why, because I love The Hobbit, but I didn't finish it. And we got completely railed by our teacher because I went to her, I was the goody two shoes, and I can't believe I did this, but I grasped. I went to the teacher and I was like, listen, I haven't read the book, but a whole bunch of us haven't. So can we get an extension? And she was like, no. And then we went into class. I know. I felt really shitty after it. So we go into class and she's like, okay, who hasn't read the book? Put your hands up. So I put my hands up because she obviously knew and no one else did. So she went around quizzing every single person on different parts of the book. It was vicious. And I felt so bad. Snitches get stitches, and I should have got stitched up for that.
Yeah, that's certainly a lesson to learn, Chad.
Exactly. And then after that I read the books because I don't want to be put in that position ever again. That's for sure.
I feel bad because I think I must have finished it. I definitely finished it. Actually, never mind. I was thinking Cry the Beloved Country. I really struggled to get through it because it's a dense book.
Yeah, it's really intense.
And the prose is very lyrical. So it actually it put me straight to sleep because it's a lot. It's very beautiful, but whew.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I did finish it. How focused I was as I finished it is up for debate.
Different question, but that's quite an intense book to be giving you in high school. What the hell?
This was when I went to a fancy international school.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Where the standard is just that little bit higher. Just kick your ass. Well, talking about standards that will kick your ass, these two movies are definitely not part of those.
No.
So what book to movie adaptations are we doing for this week's episode, Simone?
We are doing 2004's Stepford Wives, and we are doing 2010's Jack Black extravaganza, Gulliver's Travels.
You know, I wonder about Jack Black because I love him. He's a great guy. He brings a lot of passion to things, but there are just some movies where he just comes along and he just takes a big old dump on it. Very, very hit and miss with that guy.
To be fair, I did Spark Notes, the original source material, and it sounds very strange as well. So I was like, oh, okay. They did. I think they went where they could with this.
Look, the original book, I mean, to be fair, the original books was written in the 1800s, as far as I remember. It's a super early book novel, and it is really, really weird and very dry. It's sort of that old school 1800s peculiarity where things are I remember they went to one country and it was, or Gulliver went to one land and it was a bunch of horse people who could only speak the truth.
Yeah. And he actually really liked the horse people, but the thing is that they have a subjugated race of humanoid people.
Yeah.
And once the horse people realized he was very similar to the humanoid people, they kicked him out, and he was actually very sad because he wanted to stay with the horse people. And then he was he had this weird internalized disgust with himself for looking like the humanoid things because he so admired the horse people. Yeah.
Yeah, what a book. What a novel. Good Lord. So let's see who goes first. What are you drinking today?
I am having a nice pinotage.
Ooh, fancy. And in a stemless wine glass.
In a
Goodness
stemless wine glass, because that's the kind that fits in my dishwasher.
There you go. Practicality over function any day of the week. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. And what are you drinking?
So my dad brought home chocolate milkshakes from McDonald's because my mum's not feeling too well today.
Oh,
Bless her heart.
no.
So I just put a little bit of toffee liqueur in here to make it
Ooh.
a mudslide because I'm fancy and weird.
Luxury.
So mine comes in at 18%. I don't know about yours.
I think you win.
Mm.
And I mean,
Okay,
on
very
pure
interesting.
deliciousness alone, I think you win.
Oh yeah.
That sounds fucking delightful.
Like, I don't know why people poo-poo mudslides so much. It is a milkshake with liquor in it. What dreams?
It's like
are
Dom
made of?
Pedro's as well.
Yeah, like we should bring back, like, making it okay to drink mudslides.
Grown-up
You know, I
milkshakes,
think-
guys. Let's go.
Come on. Yeah, I think this is the most persecuted issue out there right now. Is the fact that
Yes, this
mudslides
is the
are-
most persecuted issue out there right now.
It's something that we're not talking about. It's the silent killer, you guys. Come on. Right. So I must apologize because I wrote this synopsis while I was in the middle of a lecture, so it might not make sense,
Perfect.
but we're going to give it a go. So Joanna Eberhardt, played by Nicole Kidman, is a high-powered TV executive for one of the most powerful networks in America. She was about to release 2 new shows on the network, which are set to send the ratings through the stratosphere. One such show is entitled I Can Do Better, where a husband and a wife spend a week separated from each other, but in the company of some super hot sex workers. The show then sees whether the couple remain faithful, and then at the end, the spouses choose whether they stay together or not. Unfortunately, the couple in the pilot episode split up because the wife realized she could do better. The husband then shows up to try and kill Joanna. As a result of this, the network decides to fire her, and as her shows are too much of an insurance risk. Understandably, she has a complete mental breakdown. Her husband, Walter Cresby, played by Matthew Broderick, decides to quit his job at the network too in solidarity with Joanna, though he is merely a vice assistant executive, so it's not that big a deal. Walter then suggests that they take their kids and move out of Manhattan and into the suburbs. So they decide to move to Stepford in Connecticut. It's this beautiful gated community with sprawling lawns, massive mansions, and high-tech gadgets as far as the eye can see. It is a paradise, and both Walter and Joanna fall in love with the place immediately. They are shown around their house by Claire Wellington, played by Glenn Close. She seems like she's just stepped out of the 1940s ad for dishwashing liquid. She's dressed in a long, flowing pastel skirt and a tight-fitting white blouse. Her manners and sensibilities are out of the same era too, and she simply can't understand how Joanna can be like this, all dressed in black and more powerful than her husband. We also get to meet Claire's husband, Mike, played by Christopher Walken, who runs the whole operation. Things only get weirder from there. Joanna and Walter meet some of the other people from the town, and they all seem exactly the same as Claire. All the women are these prim and proper housewives who dote on their husbands. Surprisingly, they are all also super hot blondes with massive breasts and tiny waists. In contrast, all their husbands are these fat little gross men. Joanna is super sus of all this, but then runs into a few normal people. She meets Bobby Markowitz, played by Bette Midler, who is this fast-talking feminist author from New York who constantly fights with her husband about cleaning the house and doing other traditionally woman jobs.
I'm obsessed with her.
Oh, she's wonderful. Bette Midler. Oh, okay, we'll get into it because
no, we can't. We can't. If we start on Bette Midler now.
Joanna also meets Roger Bannister, played by Roger Butt, who is this flamboyant gay man, and that's his whole personality, basically. So the three of them wander around Stepford, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. In the meantime, all the men go to this men's club every night. What happens in the men's club is kept super secret, and none of the wives, or Roger, knows anything about it. However, the one night Roger is invited to one of these men's meetings. Unfortunately, whilst he's there, the secret of Stepford is revealed to him. The next day, we see Roger, who has totally lost all of his flamboyance. He's running for the Senate and is acting super weird in the fact that he's actually acting super normal.
Well,
Joanna and Bobby are
normal's
normal.
Great wording.
Yeah.
Acting very.
Let's call it Stepford normal.
Right. Heteronormative. He's acting very
heteronormative. There you go.
There we go.
Very, very heteronormative. Yeah. So Joanna and Bobby are super worried about him because he's just acting like all the other cookie cutter people in Stepford. Joanna is freaking out and tries to convince Walter to leave, saying there's something seriously wrong. He has a little freak out and says he wants a divorce, and this scares Joanna, and she agrees to stay a bit longer and try to make it work. She tries to imitate the Stepford wives and starts dressing in bright colors and baking lots and lots of cupcakes. This is all until she goes to visit Bobby, and she has changed too. She's skinnier, she's blonde now, and she's cleaned the whole house and started baking. She has become a Stepford wife. Joanna runs to Walter, but he has another freak out. But this time, all the men are at his house. That's when Mike reveals the whole plan. Basically, all the women in Stepford have been transformed into these robotic beings. Basically, they have chips in their brains which control them and make them more docile. They were all powerful women before, but their husbands felt weak, incompetent, and flaccid. So Mike came up with this idea to turn them into these robots so that they could be subservient to their men. Now, Walter is going to do the same to Joanna. So Joanna seems to be turned into one of these robot things at first, and everything is perfect. That is until the evening of 4th of July, when they have a big party and Walter sneaks off and finds the mainframe that controls all of the women. He systematically turns off all their programming, and the women turn back into their previous selves. As you can imagine, they are furious. Turns out that Walter couldn't go through with turning Joanna into a robot, and so they come up with this plan to free all of the women. In a rage, Mike tries to kill Joanna, but Walter intervenes and tries to hit Mike with a candlestick. Walter ends up taking Mike's head clean off, because he is, in fact, a robot. The mastermind behind this whole thing is actually Claire. She is a microbiologist and tech genius, and she hated the fact that women were learning that they didn't have to be subservient to their men, and so decided to create Stepford. In the end, Walter and Claire leave Stepford, and everyone is returned to normal. Claire dies too, and everyone else lives happily ever after. The end.
The end. Chad, what is your cliffhanger from a treasure trove of excellent cliffhangers?
Oh, just the misogyny that is peppered throughout this movie. It has to be this one, and it's the first time that Christopher Walken is trying to explain what's going on, and I think he says it to Roger, and he's just like explaining, like, you know, men are the upper species, and like they all go through their jobs and stuff like that, and it's just like, okay, guys, I understand that you took the source material of this, and then you just decided to just like ram it home and really push the agenda of the movie, of the book.
Yeah.
How did you feel about this movie?
I love this movie, to be honest. Like, I think it's weird and it's really fun. Like, the whole cast is flawless.
Oh my god.
Like, Glenn Close? Are you kidding me?
Could they have gotten a more perfect woman? Really?
So
genuinely
good.
Insane.
Bette Midler, flawless. Nicole Kidman, as always, incredible. Like, Matthew Broderick.
Yeah. Oh my god, perfect.
Like,
he's the perfect guy. Yeah, the casting of this was just insane. Like, they got the best people. Even Christopher Walken, like, he had a smaller part, but he was so good at what he did.
So good.
Insanely good cast. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. It is a lot of fun. You know, it is one of those movies that's just like unbelievably frustrating as well, because they say all these things that just like really hit your soul wrong.
I find it interesting because whenever we cover like really like sexist stuff like this, like you feel like so much like indignant rage, and I'm just like, oh yeah, it do be that way. This is my lived experience.
I think that's exactly why, right? I mean, you're just like, you know, when you've been living in a house that's on fire for so long, of course you've got a tan. Like, where for me, I'm just burnt by this stuff.
Wait, like, there's fire over here too?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think it is a horrible thing. Like, I'm so glad you could laugh about it. And like, but I guess it's one of those situations where if you don't laugh, you cry.
Oh, you cry and cry.
Now, as far as what, you haven't read Stepford Wives, have you?
So my next question was going to be how does this compare to the book, both in terms of like accuracy and sort of exploring like the themes?
No, absolutely. So like in terms of like exploring the themes, it is pretty great in terms of that. I mean, you know, the theme is the fact that, you know, when Ira Levine wrote this, it was a time of that sort of progression and things. And so it really does capitalize on that fact that, you know, these women are becoming high powered and like the men are feeling sort of very flaccid and emasculated and stuff like that. And so the movie does talk to that. What's nice about Ira Levine and what I like about his novels, I can never remember if Ira Levine is a man or a woman, and it drives me crazy.
Ira is a man's name? Do you want to do
but
a
it's
quick
also
Google?
Yeah, I'm going to do a quick.
So we don't
it is
just
a man.
misgender him the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's going to come back from his grave. So yeah, I really believe in it as a man. What I love about his books, and this will go into a bit of my scene that could have saved it, but basically he always ends his books on like a sad and an evil and a bad note. Like nothing is happily resolved ever in any of his novels.
Fun.
So this book ends with Joanna being turned into a Stepford wife, like for real.
Oh, hectic. That's a bummer.
Yeah, which is really, really intense. Yeah. All of his books, that's what you would say at the end of every Ira Levine novel is, oh, that's a bummer. And yeah, like that's what I liked about his writing. But what is cool about this movie is it does speak to the basis of the relationship of the key characters, of the protagonists, in the fact that in the novel it is very clear that the two love each other so much, and in this you also see that, which I thought was really, really nice. They kept that sort of thing. Like Walter flails a bit and he like has a little bit of lapse of judgment, but then he comes back at the end and he's like, no, I love my wife, she may not be perfect, but I don't want perfect. And that's really sweet. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, I really liked like also the fights that they have. Like his problem with her isn't that she's too successful, it's that she's gotten to a point where she's driven herself into like unhappiness. Like like her need for success has made her an unhappy person who is difficult to be around. And that's his concern. It's not like, oh, I feel emasculated all the time. Like he doesn't really care too much about that. He's just like, I miss us, I miss you. Which I think is really sweet, and I think that was super well done. Like the two of them did such a great job with like that whole relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very clear that they still love each other. I mean, what's really nice about it is, you know, there's that great scene where Walter decides, he's like, fuck it, I want a divorce, like this is just not working anymore. And Joanna's just like, okay, no, I will try and change. And she fucking does. Like she basically does a whole 180 and becomes this like perfect Stepford wife who like bakes so many cupcakes.
Truly an insane amount of cupcakes.
You know, overachievers and what they do, like whatever they turn their mind to, they just do it over the top. And that is exactly what she did in this film with the cupcake thing. And I think going back to the point, like it is really nice to see that relationship. Like no one's digging their heels in, no one's like refusing to change. She wants to work on the relationship. She clearly loves him, and I thought that was a really nice touch. Yeah,
no, for sure. I totally agree. I loved then the comparison of that to like Bette Midler and her husband. I love her so much. Every time he's like, did you make the sandwiches? And she's like, did you?
Perfect. It's so good. It's so good. Will you clean the house? Will you? Oh, what an answer. Yeah. Fucking yes. Brilliant.
I'm sorry. Do you not live here? Do you not eat here?
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah. And it's not even like it's not like an excuse. Like there's no right way to phrase this, but you can almost understand it from like if he was the sole breadwinner kind of thing, then they each have sort of their jobs. Like it's not right, it's not the way it should be, because you should contribute to the house. I completely agree. But if that was the case, then he may have an argument. But the fact is he doesn't. He's not the breadwinner. She makes money from the novels and shit. And so he should be doing that stuff. He should be contributing to try and help.
And whenever she asks why he doesn't do the stuff, he's like, oh, because I have a penis. And it's like, okay, cool.
Okay. It's well probably done. Very small, I'm sure. So what did you not like about this movie? Is there anything in particular that you didn't enjoy?
Honestly, not really. I think there was a shocking lack of people of color in this movie. Like there wasn't even like a token black couple in the background, you know? But like, I guess this was framed, like it was framed as being made by a woman who just wants to go back to quote simpler times. So maybe introducing race politics into that didn't really factor in to her like precious worldview. But at the same time, there's a gay couple, and like the issue with them isn't that they're gay, it's just that the one guy isn't like an amazing supportive husband in the way that his husband wants him to be.
And that's the key bit, isn't it? It's that as he wants him to be, because you know Roger is such a great character and he's just lovely.
He's so sweet. He's so funny.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously like his husband just wants to kill that vibe from him, which again, why would you marry someone like that? And then, you know, don't marry people that you just want to change. It won't work out for you. Seriously. Take that from a single person. It's okay. But yeah, like I think the joy of this movie as well, though, is like the little lines.
Yeah.
You know, the one-liners that are brilliant. I mean, there's that line that Glenn Close says, where she's like, "I envisioned this perfect world, and where could I go where the old school sensibilities would still be okay?" And I thought, Connecticut. And I haven't laughed that hard
She
in
delivers it
weeks.
perfectly.
It is so great. And yeah, like, yeah, in terms of bad things, I think maybe, whew,
Honestly,
not, like,
I've got
no,
nothing
not
bad to say
really.
about this movie. Like, they do hammer it home quite a bit, but that is, the point. I
Exactly.
genuinely, like, I find this movie to be a really good time. I do think it's a
Mhm.
little funny that they're like, "Oh, look at Nicole Kidman, who is so slovenly and doesn't care about being attractive, but she's like beautiful in everything she wears. She's
Yes.
like in a tracksuit and a sweater and stuff, and she looks incredible."
Yeah, exactly. It is so good. And yeah, it's one of those again where you got to suspend your belief and be like, "Oh no, you know, she is hideous. She's the
Yes.
hideous human being."
Yes.
You know, and I think that's a good point you make as well. It's the fact as well that all these men are just the worst
Oh
in the
my
fact that they're like chubby little
It's not even that,
gross
like,
men.
it's not like, it's not saying that, like, just because you're like chubby or a bit of a nerd that you're not like deserving of love and affection. That's not what
No,
we're saying.
definitely not what I'm saying. No.
Everyone's obviously deserving of like love and respect and affection, but it's just like
Yeah.
the effort that they're expecting from their
Mhm.
wives compared to the effort
Exactly.
that they're willing to put in.
Exactly. That is exactly the point. And it is just remarkable to see that, because I guess like it would have been good to see, well, I guess it would have defeated the purpose of the movie, but if like even one of the guys was like, "Can you make me sort of that attractive and beautiful as you are to the
Yeah.
Stepford wives?" Because like
Yeah.
clearly you've got the tech to do that. Just don't do the brainwashing stuff.
Exactly.
And that way I can have like 6-pack abs and shit.
This is also like, I guess this is a bit my scene that could have saved it. I don't
Mhm.
know if this shows up in the novel. Like, I understand we're talking about a book adaptation here, but something I think would have been interesting to include is how much like this attitude actually hurts men as well. Like, I would have
Right,
liked to see
okay.
a scene where these guys, they have these wives that do whatever they want and like are obsessed with them and like so beautiful and perky, but like you're still missing out on like a real connection with someone at the end of the day,
Mhm.
right? Like there's still like there's no real intimacy there. There's no real like trust and support and like love in their lives. It must be like
Yeah.
so empty and like so sad and like lonely because there's no
Yeah,
one like
yeah.
there who's like trying to understand you and work with you. And it would have been cool to maybe see like that effect on one of the characters as a representative, where
Mhm.
he's just like in this big house and he's got this perfect life and his wife is like obsessed with him and making him whatever he wants, and he's just like
Mhm.
still like feeling like so alone.
Ooh, that would have been cool. That would have
Yeah.
been very, very cool. Even if like, try keep it more to sort of Ira Levine's original ending with sort of Joanna being turned into a robot thing. And then you have Walter being like, "Wow, I have made the hugest fucking mistake of my
Yeah.
life because I'm so miserable now." And that's also like it keeps with the sort of allegory of the tale.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
why the hell not? Yeah. What I love about the book, and I highly recommend you read it.
I'd love to. Yeah.
It's so good, is basically like how they get, so the book is more they are actually robots. They're not sort of like these humans with chips in their mind.
Right.
They are actually robots. And so what they do is they get the woman while they're still alive to read the dictionary and have them record it. Like there's a
Yeah.
guise for why they need you to do it, but basically they get all the women to voice record every single word in the dictionary so that they have a voice box when they turn over it. It's brilliant. It was such a great little piece of like just like
Creepy.
technical detail. Yeah, it was super creepy. Great book. I love everything from Ira Levine. Go read his stuff. So good. Chef's kiss. Cannot speak enough about
I
the
need
guy.
another audiobook after the one I'm listening to now. So
Yeah, I would start with A Kiss Before Dying.
Okay.
Because it's what's frustrating about it is that he wrote it when he was 23.
How dare he?
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And
I'm gonna get that. That's gonna be my reaction. How dare someone
Exactly.
have their shit together more than me,
It's
a
unacceptable.
28-year-old with every privilege in the world?
How dare he? How dare this man?
I'm 27. I'm not 28. I'm nowhere near
Yeah,
28. I don't know why.
Don't do that.
Why am
are
I
you doing
rounding
that?
up?
What? Don't round up. Always round down. No, now we're almost 30. We can't
Shut
round
up.
up anymore.
We're almost 30.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I hate it. But yeah, so he was 23 when he wrote that, and you'll read the prose of A Kiss Before Dying, and you'll just be like, "Fuck this guy. Fuck him and his perfect ability to write. How dare he?"
I
So
feel that
your
all
scene
the
that could have
time,
saved,
but-
yeah. So your scene that could have saved it. It's what to do with
just
the
showing like how,
loneliness?
this attitude is hurtful across the board. It's not just like shitty for women who have to deal with it. Like it
Yeah.
actually genuinely hurts men as well, because they feel like they're
Mhm.
missing out on a really fulfilling, healthy relationship that could
Yeah.
benefit them and make their lives better too, right? Like
Yeah.
this is how the patriarchy harms men.
Yeah, exactly. You're so right. And that's the point of a relationship, isn't it? It's to
Yeah.
be able to talk and like bounce off. You're listening to other people's problems and they are listening to yours.
Yeah.
That's what a relationship is all about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Communication.
What's your scene
guys.
that could have saved it?
My scene that could have saved it is I would have just I love a good sad ending. So,
Oh, you
I
wanted
do
the
like
original?
what they did. Yeah, I like the original ending. Have Joanna turn into the thing and then it's just bleak. I do not think there is not enough bleak ending movies in the mainstream media out there. I want more sadness.
I love the ending when they're on Larry King and they're
Yeah.
Bette Midler's talking about the new book that she has coming out. What's it called? Like wait till he's asleep, then cut it
Sleep
off.
and then
or
cut it off.
something.
Yeah. Larry King's face when she says
all
that.
of her book titles, just as an aside, are fucking gold. I think the other one is like
Mhm.
about her mother and it's called I Love You, but Please Die.
Yeah. You just know she has this really gross flat up in upper Manhattan. It's just newspapers everywhere, papers everywhere. And it's just this tiny little loft. And it's just, a wine in a
Chaos.
flask. Oh,
Ugh,
she's beautiful.
I want to be her best
Love Bette
friend.
Midler. She's so great in this. Like I love Bette Midler so much. She's got this really nice power walk, which just fills you with so much joy.
And
I love
nobody
her.
looks smug like Bette Midler looks smug.
We should get that printed on a t-shirt. No one looks smug like Bette Midler looks smug. And then it's just her face looking smug. Oh goodness. So would you watch this again?
Yeah, I would. It's honestly a delight of a movie with a great cast. Like I don't know why it scored so low. I really fucking love this movie.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I was a bit hesitant walking in on this because I've seen this before like a long time ago. And I remember not enjoying it. And then watching it again now, I'm just like, what a fool I was. This movie is delightful.
Bomb, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of not bomb movies.
Shall we Gulliver this travel?
Okay, so I'm heavily leaning on the IMDb synopsis for this because it is difficult.
Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, so bear with me, everyone. Okay. Okay. Lemuel Gulliver, played by Jack Black, is coasting through life. He works in the mailroom of a publishing house in New York. He is happy, living out his days, under doing his potential. That is until a new employee, Dan, played by TJ Miller, comes in and is promoted to head of the mailroom on the first day by doing very basic networking. It's at this point that Gulliver is like, maybe I need to start upping my game. He talks to travel editor and his giant crush, Darcy Silverman, played by Amanda Peet, and he tells her, no, he's super keen on signing up to be a travel writer. He plagiarizes a bunch of travel writing articles. She's like, oh, this is great because there's this like boat trip I really didn't want to do out to the Bermuda Triangle. Would you be willing to do it? And he's like, too late to back out now. So he does. While he is on this trip, he gets sucked into a giant whirlpool and is knocked unconscious. He wakes up on the island of Lilliput.
Yep. All hail Lilliput.
All pinned down to the ground by tiny, tiny people. He's been captured by General Edward, played by Chris O'Dowd. He is then paraded through the streets of the kingdom and brought before the royal family. King Theodore, played by Billy Connolly, Queen Isabel, played by the hilarious Catherine Tate, and Princess Mary, played by Emily Blunt. The Lilliputians immediately put him to work. They make him work the fields. They keep him in a dank cave at night. And this is where he meets a fellow prisoner, Horatio, played by Jason Segel. Jason Segel, or Horatio, has been jailed because he cast eyes on the princess when he had no right to do so. So while he's working the fields one day, the alarm bells sound. It is the enemies of the Lilliputians. The, what are they fucking called?
I genuinely have no idea.
Bleflution.
Yep.
Yes, the Bleflutions
Yes.
are there. They are trying to kidnap the princess. And the palace is on fire. It's a whole big mess. Luckily, Gulliver's there to save the day. He saves the princess and pees on the fire to put it out. Edward immediately doesn't like him because he gets a lot of that pee. From there on, the Lilliputians really warm up to Gulliver. They give him whatever they want, whatever he wants. They build him a big house by the ocean. They feed him. And life's pretty good, especially because he uses a lot of popular movies and says that they're his life. He tells them about his princess, Darcy, back home. Everything seems great. However, Edward does not like him. He doesn't like that he's helping Horatio woo the Princess Mary. He doesn't like that now Gulliver is promoted to the new general, giving Edward a bit of a break. So he goes to the Bleflutions and he's like, launch a cannonball attack. I'm gonna help you because this is bullshit. He thinks that Gulliver won't handle it, but he definitely does because he's enormous.
Yeah, I mean,
and General
odds.
Edward is furious. Meanwhile, they find his old boat. He checks his messages on his phone, which has somehow survived. And he finds that Darcy has figured out that he plagiarized everything. She wonders where he is. She is on her way. He hopes they don't find it. Okay, Edward also goes to the Bleflutions and builds a robot so he can challenge Gulliver to a duel. It does not go well. He exposes Gulliver as a fraud, and they send him off to the island that no one talks about on a huge raft. And the Bleflutions take over Lilliput, and everything looks bad, especially because Darcy washes up on the shore of Lilliput and is also captured. While he's on the island, he is used as a doll by a very giant girl, so he is very small. Horatio comes after him, convinces him to escape and tells him to buck up. He comes back, he saves the day, he woos Darcy back even though she's furious at him, and he puts an end to the war by doing a spirited rendition of War. What is it good for? And that's it. That's the movie. He goes home, he's now a travel writer anyway, and he and Darcy are together and he's reached his potential more. The end.
The end. So what is your cliffhanger for this one then, Simone?
My cliffhanger is this one. It is the main funny scene in this movie. It's Emily Blunt or Princess Mary talking to Edward, where he's like trying to woo her and she's like, no, but like, what do you like about me? And she's like, that's inappropriate. And it's just this like fun back and forth. I don't know. It was a good scene. Chris O'Dowd doing an English accent and being like the bad guy instead of being like the hard put upon Irish fellow is really nice.
Yeah, it's a good character difference for him. It's lovely. Yeah.
Jason Segel does an okay British accent that he drops about a quarter of the way into the movie.
Yeah, it's passable. And then people keep having to remind him that he is supposed to be British, and then he remembers halfway through a scene. He's like, right, yeah. It's fine. This is an easy check for me. This will buy my second home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do love, this movie is odd in the fact that it's just, it tries so very hard to be funny, and it doesn't do great. There is a great scene though, with Emily Blunt, where she is being kidnapped for the first time by the Bleflutions, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm being kidnapped." Yes, you are being kidnapped, and it's just dry. And like that's where the comedy in this lies, I think.
See, I thought that was building up to something, like this was all elaborately staged because she like
Right?
wants to get away or something.
Yes.
But no,
Yes.
that's just like their weird reactions to the inevitability. Does this happen all the
Yeah.
time? But at the same time, it's not like the source material is any more serious.
Yes.
Because I thought Jack Black, I thought it was his creative direction that he pees on the building to put the fire out, but that happens in the book.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real thing Gulliver does, except it gets him in trouble.
Yeah.
And also the main reason for the war was because they argued over the proper way to cook eggs.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like it is sort of 1800s humor, and you got to ask yourself, do we bring 1800s humor into the 21st
And is
century?
Jack Black the man to do it?
Exactly. So you know what, maybe, let's leave things from the 1800s unmovified.
Yeah.
Let's not film them. I think that's the way forward with these kind of things. We've got such great sort of content out there. We don't need to do this. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think we can just let these books be books. You know what, they were appropriate for their time, and we can appreciate them in book form for their time.
This was all like, this whole movie just felt like a series of very baffling decisions, because again, the whole cast is very funny.
Yes, you've got some great people in there.
Great actors, and I feel like none of them were really used to their potential, except Jack Black doing like Jack Black things. But that was it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was sort of like, we're gonna bring in these names. It's kind of how I feel, and I must caveat this with saying that I haven't seen it yet. But it reminds me of sort of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which is based off of a short story. And I feel like it's just, let's get all of these really famous actors into the script, so that we can try and carry this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Is it good?
Wasn't funny, but it's very charming.
Okay, fair enough.
Turns out.
But yeah, like that's my feeling about this. It's definitely that feeling of let's just carry this movie with the names in it, instead of actually like making it funny and bringing it into the 21st century with these kind of things. This movie also perpetuates my belief that it is written into every Jack Black contract that he has to do a song at some point. Because there's not one thing I haven't seen Jack Black in where he doesn't do a song. In any movie, even in his cameo in Community, he did a song.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, I think, and he also he's not allowed to wear pants in a scene. I think that's also in his contract, because
he's fat and it's funny.
Simone, that is comedy. I cannot tell you enough how funny it is to see a fat man without his pants.
Fat bodies.
God, it's how are you not getting this? Like that scene with the cannonballs when they bounce off his stomach. I was just like, oh, cool.
Because at first I was like, surely, like that would be like buckshot, surely. Like it would still hurt like a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, it just bounces off of his fat, and we laugh until we cannot laugh again.
I also don't love, as always, that the bad guys were the ethnic looking ones and the good guys were the white ones. Like, guys, this was filmed in 2010 though.
Yeah. We should know better. We should
also,
know better.
This is a mystical land. You could definitely have more people of color in there. I don't think anyone's questioning the historical accuracy of Lilliput.
Yeah, exactly. It's vaguely, well, actually not vaguely, but actually problematic. Yeah.
The only people of color we see are like the steel workers of Lilliput.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. No, it's very bad. Yeah. Yeah. Also, the fact is that Gulliver just exploits these people and lies to them, and and then he's like, oh,
they
I'm
built
sorry,
him a condo.
my self-esteem.
Yeah.
He does the same thing to Darcy, which like the most infuriating scene. She is rightfully upset with him because he's a horrible person who plagiarized his work and took advantage of her goodwill and fucked up this assignment, so she had to come after him, and now she's kidnapped. And he's like, oh, I had this crush on you for such a long time. And she's like, oh, I think that's kind of sweet. What?
Like, what? No.
What?
No.
Wait, the creepy mailroom guy who has potentially ruined your life?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and you're gonna like, it's kind of cute. No, you're done.
Amanda
like,
Pete, come on.
come on, you're better than that. You like, come on. She should have just been like, have you seen me? Have you seen where we are also? Like,
Yeah.
you did this. I'm not ever going to talk to you again. Also, I do want to say, and not to victim blame or anything here, right? You've worked in editing, in copywriting before.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure there are plagiarism checks quite frequently, right?
You'd be
Like,
surprised.
no,
Well,
really?
it seemed like she was doing him a favor, right? So it's not like she was like genuinely going through this job application and like running it through all the checks.
Right.
She was just like, oh wow, this is really good, like let me do this guy a solid, he's worked here for years. I don't know if they'd send people off on an assignment right away though, right? Like
Yeah.
if they're travel writing, you're like, oh, there's like an apple festival in the next town over, why don't you do
Yeah.
a piece on that? Like you start them there. You're not like, hey,
Yeah, exactly.
you can drive a boat, right? Then typically like they'd have a photographer with them. Like, I mean, the whole thing is just like so silly.
It's
very
it's really
silly.
set up for the movie.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
fine,
You have a good
it's
point.
fine. But
Maybe
yes.
I'm being a bit too literal and too realistic for this, but yeah, I would think that, you know, if I was a travel writer and I was just like, oh, this feels very like Froma and this feels
Yeah.
like another travel thing, I would check those things.
Yeah.
Like just on an instinct.
Yeah, I mean, I
but
don't
yeah.
blame her for trusting him, but also she shouldn't have started with like, hey, we're gonna spend a bunch of our budget on a writer that we haven't had write for us before.
Yeah. This is the biggest roll of the dice of
Yeah,
all time
exactly.
ever. Yeah.
I'll cover the Apple Festival. You go to fucking the Bermuda Triangle.
So, all right, we've shat on this movie enough. What
Yeah.
did we enjoy about it? Like, let's talk positives. This is what we're about.
I did think it was very funny when they're watching all the plays of the different movies that Jack Black can remember
Mhm.
from memory. It's always funny seeing people's reaction to Star Wars.
Yes. Yeah. It is
That
lovely.
they played
Yeah.
that really well, along with the Titanic thing, and Chris O'Dowd being the only one like, so you died in Titanic. Chris
then you came
O'Dowd
back,
was
yeah.
very good in this. He made
Mm.
an excellent bad guy, actually.
Yeah, no, his scenes were on point. Like that whole bit with the courting, like in your scene, in your cliffhanger, you know, those courting scenes are just, it's so good.
Funny.
Yeah, he's on point, and it kind of reminds me of that guy from Love Wedding Repeat when we did that, where she's
Yes.
talking and he just goes, "I work in car sales," and that's just very much, you know, the O'Dowd's kind of sense of humor.
Yeah.
And that just works. I think this movie does lie in its awkward comedy, and I think that's where the goodness comes from, not
Yeah.
some sort of like
For
Jack
sure.
Black's sort of OTT comedy. The smaller things really make this movie
Yeah.
just bearable. Yeah. So, scene that could have saved it.
Oh, some form of consequences for Jack Black. Just
Thank you.
Any-
Jesus.
any at all. Any at all. Like, I understand the thing is like, oh, you know, he's like peaked and he needs to put himself out there more if he wants to get further in his life. And like, first of all, if you're happy working in the mailroom, like genuinely happy in your soul working in the
Yeah.
mailroom, like that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
You don't need to, you know, constantly progressing. Like
Capitalism
that's a
tells
lie.
us that we
Capitalism
should
tells
be
us.
constantly hustling and grinding. But if you're happy and he clearly can afford his own apartment on that salary, like he's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, besides that, so he plagiarizes a bunch of articles to fake a job application, which is actually, I think, illegal. Isn't it fraud? Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to cough. It's essentially fraud for
Yeah.
a job interview. Yeah.
and then he lies. He like goes to this island where he can't drive a boat, but he's like, yeah, sure, I'll be on a solo boat trip for a while. And then he goes, he lies to all
Unbelievable.
these people. He uses up a metric fuck ton of their resources. In the source
Yeah.
material in the book, it's made very clear that like the island basically goes hungry to feed Gulliver.
Yeah. Exactly. And they're just completely fine with it.
And then he
he's
lies to
fine
them
with
for
it.
no reason. There's no reason for him to be like, oh, I lived Star Wars and I lived this. And it's just to make himself feel good about himself. It's not actually like growth. It's not him being like, oh, I could be this amazing person or I could be this helpful person.
Yes.
And then poor fucking Amanda Pete comes down, has to rescue him. And like, he just like has all these people being like, but you're not that bad a guy. But he
Yeah.
is. He is. He
But
has
he's
no
awful. He's a
redeeming
piece of shit.
qualities, really.
No,
He's
exactly.
selfish the whole time, and it pays off for him. At the end,
Yeah.
he's got the girl, he's got the writing job. I hate it. It doesn't have to
the
self-reflect at
mediocre.
any point. All it is
No.
he's like, oh, what if I am amazing? And it's like, you're actually not. You're a very standard guy. And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm a very standard guy. And then
Yeah.
someone's like, no, but you still have to step up. And he's like, okay.
Well,
And
that's a
just
lot of
the bare
work.
minimum.
No, absolutely. It's mediocre white guy syndrome. We see it
Oh,
time and time
yes.
again. You know, it's this whole idea that, oh, people just aren't giving me a break, just not the fact that I, have this privilege or whatever. But yeah, no, it's genuinely outrageous. And that is actually part of my scene that could have saved it as well. It's like, what is the message of this movie?
Yeah.
Because it's clearly like don't lie, which I
Yeah.
thought was like the main thing of this, because he doesn't learn like, oh, telling the truth can actually get me in a better position. Like he just learns that his lies can sometimes work out in his
as long
favor.
as he apologizes.
Yeah, which is, a very bad message. Like it's that whole tongue-in-cheek thing where it's just like, oh, it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. Well, fuck. That's awful. Like you're a shitty person. If that's your saying, if that's like your mantra, you're a shitty person. Yes. So yeah, I just kind of would have liked a fable, some message at the end of this that was just
It's
like,
a movie
oh, right,
for children, for God's sakes.
Yeah, what are we teaching our kids apart from war, huh? What is it good for?
Absolutely
not.
I did laugh at that. I was like, this musical number is farcical at best, but that is very funny.
Yeah, it was good. I did enjoy that. Okay, so would you watch it again?
No,
right? Absolutely not.
I really like Jack Black. I think he's cool. I also do love him in kids movies. I think he's great for that kind of comedy. Like he knows how to be like silly and fun and like, not take himself too seriously, but this is not it.
No, it's not his best work. I think, if you want to watch a good Jack Black kids
Obviously,
movie, it's got to be School of Rock.
Every
Thank
single
you.
time.
Yeah.
It's so wholesome.
Every
It makes me
time.
cry.
It's beautiful. And this is, and it's kind of the same kind of storyline in a way. He's this piece of shit who lies to everyone, but he actually learns that lying isn't a good thing. So it takes this message and is actually a good way of doing it. Yeah. So, I mean, my other question for you then is, like, based on your SparkNote research and watching this movie, would you read Gulliver's Travels?
No.
Good.
I read the synopsis. I was like, this looks horrible, especially because apparently at the end of Gulliver's Travels, so in Gulliver's Travels, he actually goes to a lot of different islands and has lots of different adventures. But at the end, he like reflects on like the places he's been, and he's like, oh yeah, they're all English colonies now because I found them, even though he's like kind of on the fence about colonialism, and like that's the end.
Yeah, I got this book for a 21st present, and so like I pulled it out the other day because it was like up in the loft, and I pulled it out and I looked at it and I'd like I actually shuddered because I just like I read it because it's a 21st present, of course I'm gonna read it, and then like I put it down and I was like, oh, never again. And seeing it just brought back those horrible feelings.
Good
like
old England.
Oh, love it.
You show up somewhere,
when
you plant that flag.
It is ours. How are you not getting this? People
Get ready
who already
to
live
exploit
there.
some locals and liberate them.
Yeah, it's because you don't understand Christian religion. So you must be savages, and we will teach you, even if we have to kill and rape your women.
We gotcha.
Yeah, we got you. Well, thank you for taking these words and making them into pictures with me. I really do appreciate you joining me on this weird journey that we've been on together. Yeah,
I appreciate it too.
So what is your gratitude for this week, friend?
My gratitude for this week. So I told you before we started recording, I just had one of those weeks at work where you're just like tired and you're like, I don't think anyone gets what I'm doing. Like I don't know. And I had like two of like my coworkers, superiors, just reach out to me like without me saying anything really. And they were like, listen, we see you. We know how you feel. You're doing great. And that was like all I needed. And it was just like such a nice reminder that I work in a place they're like people genuinely give a shit about me and are like willing to be really empathetic. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, just it was a very nice moment for me.
That is really nice. I'm so glad because I mean, I know you've had the most issues with employment over the like last year and a half. So I'm just
Chad.
really happy that you're in a place where you're at a place where you're happy to be there
Yeah.
and like the people are decent to you and not monsters.
You know, it's a nice it's a change of pace. No,
It's a
I've
good
had
change of
very
pace.
lovely bosses before. So it's nice to know, like, I've been like, obviously I've been wanting a job where I can stay for a while. And it's nice to feel that that is a viable option.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm so glad. I'm so chuffed for you, dude.
Yeah, what's your
Yeah.
gratitude?
I am in love with all of our Discord people. They are so nice.
They're so
They are
funny.
so lovely, and so, like you say, yeah, so funny. And it was just so good. Like I checked my Discord in the morning, like when I wake up, and it was just, you know, I put a message out there because our 100th episode is coming up pretty soon. Sorry, our 100th episode. Yes,
Yes.
our 100th episode is coming up pretty soon. So we wanted like ideas for what we want to do for 100th episode, and just the barrage, the flood of people who came to our aid, like Rohan at the Battle of Helm's Deep, just fucking coming in there with suggestions. And it was just so nice to know that people like what we do, appreciate, you know, the characters
Yeah.
that we come up with, the things that we say. And yeah, it was just so lovely to
Even our
to
friends
see
at the
that.
Girl Crush podcast who are like, who like commented on our Instagram, and they're so lovely. They're so well, you're so lucky to have friends at the Girl Crush podcast. They're like the coolest, nicest people.
Yeah, and it's weird that they think that about us. Like
Yes!
it freaks me out a little. Like it's so weird. It's so weird. But yeah, again, like, you know, to extend it, but yeah, mainly for our Discord people. And I hope you're sitting in your cars or you're at home, people who are on our Discord, and being like, that's me, I'm that, because it is you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have got such like a great podcast community. Like, you know, the people we've met over this journey has just been insane.
Yeah.
Like Dana Bowman, the Girl Crush podcast, like fucking David Alt.
Oh my god,
you
we're
know?
friends with David Alt.
It's so weird to be friends with all these wonderful people.
I listened to the No Sleep podcast and I'm like, oh hey, it's my friend David Alt.
It's our friend.
And he's like, who are they again?
Yeah, I'm gonna message him when we're able to move around and stuff and be like, I'm gonna come up to Yorkshire so we can have a beer. And he's gonna be like, who are you?
Who? I'm
Who?
sorry? I'm very famous. No, he's lovely. He would never.
No, he would invite me around. We'd have lots of
He'd
beers, and
pretend
then I'd
to
probably...
remember who you are until it actually clicks, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm just really grateful for all the people we've met,
Yeah.
but more specifically with our Discord people. Absolutely love them. Yeah. So Simone, what are we gonna do next week? Do you have any ideas?
Yes. So I have a very intense week up ahead of me. And you know what I
Yes.
do to relax? Besides
I'm
horror,
nervous.
because I feel like we've done horror relatively recently.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
I do to relax in these times is some good old-fashioned teen angst.
Yes, I love teen angst.
Yes.
Yes.
And Chad,
do
I
it.
have found just the thing.
Yes, tell
So
me
these
all
are
the things.
two
I'm so
movies
ready.
that are supposed to be part of a 4-part series.
Oh
The
my god.
movies are based on a book that is based on a One Direction fan fiction.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I might cry. This is
Oh
perfect.
yes. Oh yes.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Oh my
So
god.
these two movies are called After and After We Collided.
I've heard of the second. I haven't heard
Mhm.
of the 1st.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
So that's
Oh
what
my
we're doing
God.
next week, Chad. We are just going to get into our feels. We're going to watch 25-year-olds play much younger people.
Oh my god, they're gonna be so upset about
They're going to be
sex and
crying
drugs.
so much.
Oh, I'm so
Mm.
excited for them to be asking who they are when they look
I'm
deep,
going to be
deep
watching,
into a
guessing
mirror.
which one is the Zayn, which one is the Harry, which one is the
Oh
Niall.
my fuck. Oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna listen to so much One Direction this week just to try and get in the heads of the people. This is gonna
Honestly,
be a
Harry
beautiful
Styles'
week.
latest stuff has been great. So
Mhm.
his solo
Mhm.
albums have actually been quite fire.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Just so you know.
I mean, I
Just-
thank you. I will defer to your judgment on this one. That's exciting. I'm so excited for Teen Angst Week. Oh, this
Yeah.
is gonna be so good. Yes,
Mhm.
I might wear a leather bracelet just to celebrate.
Ooh.
Who knows? Let's see
I'm
what
trying to think of
happens.
what like teen protagonist girls wear these days, but I'm so out of the loop. Like I don't even know.
Like a short pencil skirt, I want to say, but again, I don't know.
I don't
like
know.
I feel old now.
I'll figure it out. Definitely a center
yes.
part, right? Like this is Gen Z, so I should definitely
Yes.
center part my hair.
the bravery to go with a center part. Can I just say that? Like, wow.
You can honestly tear my side part out of my cold dead hands. I do not look good with the
Yeah.
center part. It doesn't work with my bone structure.
Very few people do. Zach Braff couldn't pull it off, and he tried it for years.
Oh,
So
God.
it's not a thing. It's not a thing. So yeah, to middle part with so many people. Oh, she's doing it for all of our non-YouTube listeners. You know, it's there. She's
No,
tried it. It doesn't
I
look
don't like
too
it.
bad. It doesn't look too bad. It changes your face dramatically.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
There we go.
Let's never do that again.
Yeah, I don't think my hair can do that. This is great podcasting. Oh, there it is. That's the look. That is the look.
Good job.
Right?
That's very 90s.
That's very 90s. That's Prince Charming in Shrek too. Good lord, nope.
Nope,
Never
nope,
again.
nope.
Put it back.
Our hair's
So that'll be
safely
fun.
parted to the side again.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. Please go check out that last 5 minutes of insanity that was on our YouTube video. They come out exactly the same time as the audio episodes, so please go check out our YouTube channel. And even if you don't, just give us a subscribe. It's really, really like helpful for
Yeah.
us on the YouTube side of things if we just get those
Get
likes.
that algorithm
Same with the
going.
podcast. Come on, guys. Our worlds are run by algorithms. Just click those buttons. We really would appreciate it. And also, if you have things to say to us, you know, like we said, it's our 100th episode coming up pretty soon. So any ideas, any thoughts about what movies we could do, any funny games we could play, let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys. And where can they do that, Simone?
They can catch us on Facebook or Instagram at Fresh Tomatoes Podcast, on Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP. They can email us at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com.
There you have it. And as we say at the end of every episode, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Goodbye.
Bye.